Hi everyone, my name is Umur Jeshi and I'm going to go over the Lebanese food and culture fact sheet today. First of all, I'm going to go over an introduction about Lebanon. So, Lebanon is a country on the eastern shore of the Mediterranean Sea. It is known for its sea view and its city view, as well as mountain view. So, really, you can be on the beach and 45 minutes later you're up the mountain and it's snowing. So this is one of the special points about Lebanon. The spoken languages there are Arabic, French, and English. Not everyone necessarily speaks the three languages, but Arabic is the common language used between people in their daily life. So, why do people speak French over there? This is a question almost everyone always asks. Well, actually, it is because Lebanon was a French colony after World War I. So, almost 40% of Lebanese are considered francophone. Francophone means French speaking. Over here, this is an image of the shore in Lebanon. In summer, you really can't go there because it's so crowded, but it's also very, very beautiful. It is important to distinguish between Lebanese and Arabic. What does that mean? In the daily life, people in Lebanon speak Lebanese Arabic. It is not necessarily slang, but it's less formal. However, in writing, documentations, speeches, religious books, or even literary books, the written language is Arabic, which is a more formal way of writing. The Lebanese cuisine is considered Mediterranean, and food in Lebanon is considered a symbol of hospitality. There are many traditions that were held in regards to foods and dishes long time ago, and they are still practiced until now. Traditional foods and dishes. Lebanon is a multiracial country. There are different religions, and religions over there have different sects, yet everyone still finds peace with one another. They are very loving and caring and very accepting of the different religions that are found in Lebanon. So, Lebanon is said to have almost 61.3% of its population as Lebanese Muslims and 38.3% as Christians, while the remaining are of different minorities. Within the 61.3 Lebanese Muslims, there are Shia and Sunni, and among the 38.3% Christians, there are Maronite, Greek Orthodox, Protestant, and other minorities. This shows you how multiracial and how many different sects are found in Lebanon, and yet people still do live in peace and harmony. Over here, there is an image of a mosque and a church that are found next to each other in downtown Beirut. So when the mosque calls for prayer, you can also hear the church bells ringing, and this really symbolizes the state of how people are in Lebanon. You can see people, friends, walking into the mosque while the others go into the church. They do their prayers and then they come out and they go back to their work, to lunch, and it's really just really beautiful how people are with each other over there. Since Lebanon has different religions, this affects food habits there, basically among Muslims. Since a big percentage of the population are Muslims, this affects how this population eats. Muslims only eat halal, which is an Arabic word for permitted. What is halal? Halal foods include meats and chickens that are slaughtered according to Islamic law. So there are certain rules bounded by Islam that should be followed once slaughtering meats and chickens. And any meat and chicken that is not slaughtered according to the Islamic law cannot be eaten by Muslims. Also, Muslims can't eat food that contain pork or they can't drink alcohol or foods containing alcohols, and certain food items that are also prohibited by the religion. The staple foods in Lebanon are hummus, which is a chickpea spread served with tahini sauce and olive oil, pita bread, which is just a kind of flatbread, labneh, which is a very soft cream cheese made from strained yogurt, fattoush, which is an oriental salad with different kinds of vegetables and lemon dressing. Some people also serve it with fried pita bread. Tabbouleh is chopped parsley and tomato salad with burghul and an olive oil lemon-based dressing. And there is also kibbeh, which is burghul and meat-based dough that is shaped into balls and filled with minced meat. I'm pronouncing the names of the foods in Arabic so you can get an idea of also the pronunciation over there of the Arabic language. Here is an image of labneh and another image of hummus. You can also see that some households still use those traditional plates that honestly I remember when I used to go to my grandparents' house, they used to use them and their grandparents used to use them, so it's kind of a tradition as well that symbolizes food in Lebanon, how it is served and how it is eaten. The symbolic foods, Muslims fast for a whole month called Ramadan. During this month, there is a high spiritual significance. People pray, they go to the mosque, and upon its completion, Muslims rejoice for completing such a task. They then break their fast on a day called Eid al-Fitr, which is basically another word for breaking fast day. On the day where Muslims break their fast, a big lunch is served and all the family, the close family and the extended family gather up, usually in the grandparents' house. And the dessert symbolic of this occasion is called mamul, which is basically a butter biscuit that is filled with pistachio or dates or walnuts. And they also serve knefe, which is basically a cheese-based dessert with a semolina crust and that is served alongside a sugar syrup. And some people serve it with also a kind of a bread with sesame seeds on top. Over here you can see the mamul dessert, which I just talked about, that can be filled with dates, pistachios, or walnuts, and the knefe, which is the cheese-based dessert with semolina crust and the sugar syrup on the side. Traditional eating patterns in Lebanon. Lebanese are known for loving to eat in groups, so it is really rare for you to go to a restaurant and see someone having lunch or dinner or breakfast alone. You usually find everyone in groups. They go out with friends, with families. Even when they go out for a cup of coffee, it's usually a bunch of friends or families that gather together and they sit around and talk about their days, how everything's been. Also, this is not something that they just practice while going out, but it's also at home. Meal times are very sacred for the family to gather up. So I remember in my household when it was 2 p.m., 2:30 p.m., we were all seated on the table having lunch together. And sometimes one of us would have already had lunch, but would still sit with us to keep company. Lebanese also start their meals with a variety of appetizers that are called meze in Arabic. So they are small dishes that contain different kinds of foods that are also symbolic to Lebanese cuisine. Those appetizers can be hummus, which I said is a chickpea dip, or eggplant dip, which is basically like the hummus but made with eggplants, fried kibbeh, cheese and vegetable spring rolls, spicy fried potato that are cut in cubes and served with spices and cilantro, fattoush or tabbouleh, which are the two kinds of salads that I mentioned earlier. There are certain traditional meals that people have in Lebanon, and they really, really love them. So, a breakfast traditional to Lebanese cuisine is manouche, which is basically a pizza-like dough that is topped with traditional Lebanese white cheese or za'atar and olive oil mix. Za'atar is basically similar to oregano or thyme, and but it contains sesame seeds and other condiments, and usually it's mixed with a lot of olive oil. Lunch is kusa wara anab, called in Arabic as such. It is basically zucchini and grapevine leaves that are stuffed with rice and meat, and they are cooked over a bed of baby back ribs. It is usually cooked for a long period of time until they get really soft and the meat literally falls off the back of the bones. The dinner is shorbat adas in Lebanese language. It is basically lentil soup, usually served with fried pita bread and cilantro. A typical Lebanese dish consists of vegetables, proteins, and starch. So basically, a typical Lebanese dish consists of the main macronutrients that an individual should consume, which are the complex carbs, sometimes simple carbs, um, vegetables, and protein. Um, Lebanese cuisine, like I said, is Mediterranean cuisine, and the Mediterranean cuisine diet is a well-balanced diet. So this makes the Lebanese diet also a well-balanced diet and a healthy one. Of course, when consumed moderately. As you can see over here, this is an image of the manouche, which is the pizza dough bread that I said, topped with white cheese, traditional Lebanese white cheese. Next is an image of kusa wara anab, and this is an image of the shorbat hadas, which is the lentil soup. Cooking traditions: Lebanese are known to cook in huge quantities, and the food is usually served in big plates. So you can see everyone gathered around the dining table with the dishes, the meal dishes in the center with lots and lots of food, and each one has their own plate and they serve. So it's basically self-service. Cooking in huge quantities, especially when having guests over, is a symbol of hospitality. The more the merrier. Um, it's really a form of showing your guests that they are welcomed and that you care for them. So, when invited over to lunch at Lebanese people, you are most likely going to find so many dishes, such a huge variety, and you will most likely leave there feeling so full. The cooking utensils used usually are normal silverware pots. Some people traditionally used to use also silverware dishes to serve food. Some people still hold this tradition, but the others really have moved to just using normal serving plates. Wooden spatulas are used to stir food in pots. I don't know, it's just something that Lebanese like to use. Um, I'm guessing everyone else, but in Lebanon, wherever you go to buy pots, the first thing they offer you with them is the wooden spatulas. A lot of people like to cook their eggs in pottery-based pans for richer flavor. This is a tradition that um, our ancestors used to do, our grandparents, and some people still carry it out. Over here, you can see an image of eggs cooked in a pottery dish. There are certain traditional health beliefs among Lebanese, despite how educated people have become and in the medical field, there are still a big percentage of them that still believe in old wives' tales, especially when it comes to pregnancy. And some of the tales we hear are that heartburn during pregnancy means that the mother is carrying a baby that has a lot of hair. So I remember during my pregnancy, I suffered from heartburn, and And everyone used to tell me that my baby has a lot of hair. Carrying the baby alone means that it is a boy, and if the mother experiences morning sickness, then she has a girl. I can say that this is not true because I experienced morning sickness for so long and I had a boy. If the mother craves salty foods and citrus foods, then she has a boy. I'm guilty of the very last one. Current food practices in both the native country and in the United States. In Lebanese culture, the mother is in charge of cooking for her household. Um, and this is a role that is really cherished upon households, even after immigrating and wives becoming more independent and working individuals, they still hold this tradition. It is in the nature of how women are raised as nurturers and care providers. But nowadays, the husband is just as helping and just as supportive, and really the role is just basically um, accomplished or divided between both spouses. In Lebanon, when invited to a home, the guest should always bring a gift, which is usually a dessert or chocolates, and the customs is to serve it while the guest is there to show them how appreciative and thankful one is. It is usually a lack of respect if a guest brings you a chocolates or desserts and you don't open them until they leave. Even as immigrants, this practice is still upheld between Lebanese themselves and honestly with non-Lebanese also. I'm Lebanese and I live abroad, and when I'm invited over to a friend's house that are not Lebanese, I still hold this tradition. But the customs here, not necessarily do they open the gift when you bring it, but living abroad, one learns that this is not really lack of respect, but rather how different cultures have different norms, and it's really difficult to find someone abroad that shares the same exact norms or values that you're raised on. But it's really actually beautiful to be able to share um, norms or values, traditions that are personal to one's culture with another group of people that come from a different culture and a different background. In Lebanon, households rely heavily on lamb consumption, and as a Lebanese living abroad, where individuals rely more on beef consumption, Lebanese tend to cook or consume their traditional Lebanese dishes with beef instead. And despite sometimes people suffering from economic issues, they can still have their favorite Lebanese dishes because the Lebanese food relies on plant-based ingredients in so many dishes, so people can still enjoy Lebanese food while on a budget. As a nutritional professional, the Lebanese diet offers a good and balanced, as well as adequate and healthy meal plan. The abundance of appetizers or mese may lead an individual to overeat, so it is always important to find the balance, and not just only in Lebanese cuisine diets, but in any kind of diet. I think that moderation is key, but the Lebanese diet does provide a variety of foods and per meal where there is always carbs, proteins, and vegetables. Here are my references, and I hope everyone enjoyed my presentation.